Oh, hello everyone. In case for those of you who don't know who I am the late Dr. Buddy Black. That's right. I was murdered. But thanks to the butler, Ash, who turns out to be an undercover detective, Detective Gary Gray, he found out that it was Mrs. Peacock in the study with the candlestick. And I still have that headache just by thinking about it. But anyway, now I heard that Detective Gray is going to the Blanc Mansion to meet my dear former cook and maid, Mrs. Wendy White. Yes, the same Wendy White I talked about before I died. She became my cook and maid ever since I became a doctor. Too bad she didn't stay on. I would have told her how I feel about her. She's the most wonderful, beautiful, ebony French woman I've ever met. But sadly, she wanted to own her own restaurant, and I didn't blame her. She's a damn great cook I ever known. Have you ever tried her pulled pork? It is very delicious. Ah, there he is now. I hope this time she knows he's a detective and she hired him to pretend to be the butler.
Detective Gary Gray?
I am, but to you and your guest, I am Ash the Butler.
Well, she does know.
Well, thank you for solving my dear friend, Dr. Buddy Black's murder.
It's the least I can do, but why did you hire me?
Well, I'm throwing an outdoor dinner party tonight, and I have a feeling this might be my last, 'cause I have invested in some people who might want to take over my restaurant.
I see. Well, I'll do whatever I can to find out who's trying to take over your restaurant.
Good, and if something happens to me, make sure you solve it like you did with Buddy Black.
Okay, I promise.
You better find out who that tosser who's trying to take over her restaurant, or I will haunt you for the rest of your life, if I can.
Did you say something?
No, why?
I thought somebody said something.
It might be Dr. Black's ghost.
Oh, ha ha ha. Very funny, ma'am.
Oh, Buddy, I wish you were here. I really miss you.
I miss you too, Wendy. But too bad she cannot hear me. Although, I wish she can. But well, let's see who she invited to this outdoor party.
Monsieur Brunette?
Bonjour, Madame White.
Bonjour, Monsieur Brunette.
Merci for inviting me to your, how do you say, dinner party?
Oui, monsieur.
Please, call me Blaise.
I'm sorry. I prefer to call you Monsieur Brunette, if you don't mind.
D'accord. You can call me anything you like.
What a pompous get! My God, she's not swooned by his French charm. Besides, she herself is French. Her parents are from Paris. France, that is. And her maiden name is Blanc. French for white. That's why she changed her last name to Mrs. Wendy White. But this, Monsieur Brunette? On the other hand, he used to be an artist, but he quit. So now he becomes a lawyer. But how he studied law is completely beyond me.
Ah, merci. Thank you, Rusty. Ash, this is Rusty Rayla, the gardener. Rusty, this is Ash, my new sommelier, or as you say, butler.
Nice to meet you, Rusty.
Right, it's my order to meet you, lad. Anyway, Mrs. White said we needed a butler anyway.
I see you're Scottish.
I am, lad, but my job is taking care of my garden.
Ah, yes, I forgot about Rusty the gardener from Scotland. He used to be my gardener, but he decided to work for Mrs. White. So I let him go.
Madam Rachel Rose.
Hello, Mrs. White.
Hello, Madame Rose. Sorry to hear about your brother.
Ah, thank you. If only I would warn him not to start the party.
But why didn't you?
I was having some wrong correction, but I still sense he still loves you.
Right. Thank you, Madame Rose.
My gosh, she's still into the psychic mumbo-jumbo crap. But this is my sister, Rachel Rose. Ever since she met that Romanian gypsy guy, she married him. And he got into her head, making her think that she's have psychic powers. So she lives her entire life being a fortune teller. But one thing I would have to say, if she didn't sense my death, then she is not a bloody psychic. And of course she knows that I still love Wendy, 'cause I told her before I bloody died.
Miss Penelope Peach, Mum?
Why, thank you, Sugar. And howdy, y'all.
Hello, Miss Peach. How is Texas?
Why, business as always? Things are good. Anyway, I'm so sorry what I heard about Dr. Black. He was a charming man.
Thank you, Miss Peach.
And who is the Silver Fox Butler here?
I am Us, Mum. I used to be Dr. Black's butler until he died, so Mrs. White hired me.
Now, wouldn't that be awfully nice of her, Sugar?
Oh yes, Miss Penelope Peach, the Southern Belle from Texas. Unlike Miss Scarlet, who is happily married to Professor Plum, Miss Peach is a real flirt, like all the other Americans I known. But she is a good friend to Mrs. White. One time she did hit on me, but she realized that my heart belongs to Mrs. White. So we became friends. Now let's see who else is gonna show up in this party.
Prince Azure.
Hello everyone, am I late for the party?
Not at all. We are just getting started, Your Majesty.
Why, howdy there, Prince. I'm Miss Penelope Peach from Texas. I never thought I would ever meet a royal silver fox like yourself, Sugar.
Really? I've never been called a silver fox before. Especially from a very lovely American lady like yourself.
Why, thank you, Your Majesty.
Oh, Miss Peach. But anyway, this here is Prince Adid Azure. He is a prince from a rich family in India. He's an old friend of mine. We were good friends ever since we were in college.
Mrs. Marilyn Meadow-Brooks.
Wendy, my dear old friend.
Marilyn, dear, it's good to see you.
Same here. Sorry about Dr. Black.
Thank you, and sorry what I heard about Matthew.
Ah, Marilyn Meadow-Brook. She's a wife of an old childhood friend of mine, Matthew Meadow-Brook. Matthew and I, we go way back. He was like an older brother to me. He taught me how to make deals in businesses. Until he met Marilyn and married her. But, sadly, my old friend Matthew died of pneumonia.
Okay, everyone, since all of you are here, let the party begin. Rusty, you can take a break and enjoy the party.
Aye, thank you, Miss White, but I don't think I'm properly dressed for the party.
Don't worry, Rusty. I should have some of my husband's clothes. That might fit you.
Why, thank you, Marilyn. Ash, can you serve the people some hors d'oeuvres and drinks?
Right, ma'am. Right away.
Oh, thank you, Ash.
Well, I hope this party turned out to be better than the one I threw before I died. I have to say, this is the best party ever, and good choice of music.
Hors d'oeuvres, Mrs. Meadow-Brook.
Oh, no thank you, Ash.
Rusty.
Aye, thanks, lad. Miss White, what do you think about the garden? I worked really hard on it.
Oh, yes, you did a great job, Rusty.
Thank you. It wasn't easy. It took me a hard time to get this right.
Champagne, Mrs. Peach.
So, Prince, are you married?
Sadly, no. I've been so busy traveling and making business with some people.
Oh, have you ever thought about settling down?
Yes, I do, but I just haven't found the right woman.
Monsieur Brunette.
Merci, monsieur.
Bottom Road.
Thank you, Ash.
So, Madame Rose, do you really believe in this psychic fortune-telling stuff?
Of course. Maybe one of these days I could, tell your future. Palm reading, tarot cards, your choice.
Oui, madame. When I feel like having my fortune told, I'll let you know.
Thank you, Mr. Brunette.
Palm reading and or tarot cards. And I kept telling her not to get into this nonsense. But she never listens to me, ever since she married that Romanian traveler and filled her head up with this poppycock. Well, this party is off the hook. The best ever.
Thank you, buddy. I learned it from you.
Wendy, can you see me?
Yes, and I'm so happy to see you. I miss you so much.
I miss you too, Wendy. Wait, if you can see me, then that means... Oh, no!
What, buddy? What?
Well, you didn't die here in the gazebo. Wendy, where were you before you could see me?
I don't know. All I remember was practicing with my tennis skills until I felt something hit me on the head, and then I had a horrendous headache.
Okay, we go to the tennis court and see what happens. Oh no, just as I feared.
Oh my, I thought this was a dream. So I'm dead?
Well, it's not a dream, but from the looks of it, it looks like you've been bludgeoned by a tennis racket.
That explains the migraine I had.
Indeed. I hope somebody can find you in time. Ah, here comes Rusty.
Miss White. Miss White, do you want me to... Ash! Miss White has been murdered.
Rusty, what's wrong?
It's Miss White. She's been murdered.
Alright. Everyone, stand back. Let's check the body.
Check her body. And who do you think has the right to do that?
I'm Detective Gary Gray, CDI, Scotland Yard. I was hired by Mrs. White to go undercover as her butler, because one of you is trying to take over her restaurant. But now it ends up to murder, just like Dr. Buddy Black.
Dr. Black? So you're the one who solved Dr. Black, aye?
Yeah, that's right. And now I had to solve her, from the looks of it. It looks like she had a blunt force trauma in the back of her head with this tennis racket.
I can vouch for him on that.
I hate to tell you this, Wendy, but they can't hear us because we're dead.
Now, Mrs. Mudbrooks, you were a dear friend to Mrs. White since your late husband was friend with Dr. Buddy Black.
Yes, Wendy and I were like sisters.
Okay, you're clear, Madam Rose.
Breeze around me. Ever since my dear brother, Buddy, loved Wendy so much, I decided to trust Wendy and treat her like a sister. So therefore, I have no reason to kill her.
She treated me like a sister.
Now there's a comfort. Thank God she didn't teach you this psychic crap.
She almost did, but I turned her down.
Good.
Okay, I'm convinced you're clear. Now, you, Prince Azure, you are a member of a royal family, India, and close to Dr. Buddy Black and Mrs. White, so you're clear.
Thank you, Detective.
Now, Miss Peach,
Yes, sugar?
you were a dear friend to Mrs. White.
That's right, hon. Mrs. White was like a sister I could not kill.
I believe her. Now I know who killed me.
Oh yes, indeed. I never did like him anyway.
Alright, monsieur. It was me who killed Mrs. White.
But why did you do it?
Because I used to be an artist. That art museum she owns used to be mine, but Dr. Black gave it to her.
Well, Mr. Brown,
It's Brunette.
I'm sorry, but you're on your arrest. Come with me.
Well, that's it. You were killed by Monsieur Brunette in the tennis court with a tennis racket.
Thank you, buddy.
I think it's time for you to go home.
Are you coming?
I'm afraid not. I have to stay and continue.
Okay, but there's something I wanted to tell.
What is it, Wendy?
You have a daughter, and her name is Bella Blanc.
I have a daughter, and you gave her your maiden name?
Yes, she works as a nurse and owns that art museum.
So her name is Nurse Bella Blanc?
Yes, but do me a favor. Find her and keep an eye on her.
I'll promise. Goodbye, Mrs. White. I'll miss you.
Goodbye, Dr. Black. I'll miss you too.
Well, time for me to find my daughter. I'm Dr. Buddy Black. Thank you for listening, and goodbye. Well, this is Cluedo Episode 2. Goodbye, Mrs. White, I'll miss you. And this is Michael A. Grimm, the writer, who have another announcement to make. Dr. Black? Oh, yes. Stay tuned for another Cluedo episode. Save my daughter from the art caper. Because that's where my daughter is going to be saved in this one. So please stay tuned, and thank you for listening.